Hey guys, welcome to the third installment of 700s Club. What is 700s Club, you ask? Well, if you are trying to score above a 700 on the SAT math, these problems are what trip high flyers up and continue to show up on the test. So I've linked to the document down below. Go grab it so you can work alongside me. Let's get started. All right, real quick, before I get into these questions, make sure you subscribe to this channel. We are about to hit a huge milestone, and I need your help to get there. So just remember, you're only hurting yourself if you don't hit subscribe and the notification bell below. And real quick, guys, College Board just released brand new questions to the question bank, literally like a day ago. So we've compiled all 270 brand new questions in both English and the math, so you don't have to try to sift through and find them yourself. If you subscribe to our email list, we will share the entire problem set with you. It's really important to practice this brand new problem set ahead of your tests in August, September, October, this fall 2026, because these questions are new and they're trending right now. So head to our website, put in your email, and we will email you the brand new questions. All right, let's start with this first one, which is talking about margin of error. You see a big word problem. I would say skip the entire thing and just go right to the question. So it says, assuming the margins of error were calculated in the same way, which of the following best explains why the second sample obtained a smaller margin of error than the first? Okay, to get a smaller margin of error, you need to increase the sample size. So if the second sample has a smaller margin of error, it has a higher sample size. So the first sample contained fewer shoppers than the second sample because the second sample is bigger. Margin of error questions should take you literally 10 to 15 seconds. You can bank lots and lots of time so that you can get to some of the harder questions and spend 2 minutes if you need to. All right, let's talk about this next one, number 22. It says the function f is defined by f of x equals a to the x plus b, where a and b are constants. Okay, I can already tell since they gave me the equation and then they gave me 2 points on it, I can run a regression in Desmos. Now, there's no autoregression for this particular equation. The autoregression actually has a multiplication sign in between. So we're going to have to manually type it in, but let me show you how to do it. Okay, first I'm going to put the values of the points into a table. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is type in the equation, but I'm not going to use f of x. I'm going to use y1 because I want to pull from the values in the table. And I'm not going to use a regular x. I'm going to use x1 so that I can pull from the values in the table. Lastly, to tell Desmos to run a regression on it, you want to use a tilde instead of an equal sign. As you can see, Desmos does all the heavy lifting and tells you exactly what a equals, which is 9, and b equals negative 729. So they want the value of a plus b. All right, so they want the value of a plus b, so we're going to do negative 729, that's b, plus 9, which is a, so we get negative 720. All right, if you're finding this video helpful so far, show me some love, hit the like button below. This will help others find this video as well. All right, the next one is a percents problem. It says 740 is 8% greater than 8. What is the value of A? What we want to do is we want to take this English phrase and set up an equation in math. So 740 in math is 740. Is means equals. Now, a percent greater than 8 is going to be 8 times 1 plus, now 8% would be a over 100. I'll just put 1 plus a. We're going to find the percent right now in decimal form, and then we can always translate it back to a percent. So because it's greater, we want to have a 1 here to hold the place of the 8, and then we're going to find the additional amount in percent form that it's greater than. Now we're just solving. Okay, I got a equals 91.5, but that's in decimal form because whenever we use percents in equations, it's in decimal form. I need to convert that to a percent because they called a percent. So a is 9,150% greater than 8. Okay, on to question number 24. They said two numbers A and B are each greater than 0, and the 7th root of A is equal to the 4th root of B. Let me set that up as equation. So we've got the 7th root of A equals the 4th root of B, which basically means A to the 1/7 power equals B to the 1/4 power. They said for what value of X is A to the X equal to B? Okay, that means we need to get B by itself to the first power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this equation we set up and raise it to the 4th power. Because if we take 1/4 raised to the 4th power, that will isolate a B for us. So we're going to have A to the 4/7 power equals B. So X is 4/7. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, guys, we have a system of equations, and this is pretty common on the SAT, where instead of giving you just variables X and Y, they're going to give you binomials as the variables. So when they want to know what's the value of 8g minus k, my goal is to basically add these two lines together and get 8g minus k's. Now, I can't do that yet because I have a negative 14p plus v and a plus 10p plus v. So the first thing I want to do is use the elimination method to get rid of the p plus v's. So I'm going to multiply the top line by 10, and I'm going to multiply the bottom line by 14. So I'll have 10 times g minus k, and that's going to also give me a negative 140 p plus v, and that's going to equal 6,060. And then on the second line, I'm going to have 14 g minus k's, and then plus 140 p plus v's, and that's going to equal 15,540. Okay, now we can go and add the lines together. These are going to cancel out, which is what I wanted. So I basically have 24 g minus k's, and that's going to equal, oops, sorry, wait. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I need a calculator. Well, I'll just do it this way. By hand, the old-fashioned way. Look at that. 11. Okay. 21,600. I want 8 of them. So what I'm going to do is divide both sides by 3. So g minus k, 8g minus k, is going to equal 7,200. Boom. This is how you save time, use the elimination method, and get how many they want. Don't solve for g minus k, because then you have to backtrack and multiply it by 8. So just get there right away. All right, guys, this is a really awesome question because you can use a Desmos regression, but it's kind of disguised. How do I know I can use the Desmos regression? Well, they give me the equation, and they actually give me 2 points. So if it initially estimates there are 30,000 algae cells, that means there's a point at 0, 30,000. And then if they tell me 12 days later, there's 240,000, that means there's a point at 12, 240,000. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a regression in Desmos. All right, as you guys can see, I changed the capital N to a Y1, and then I changed the X to an X1 so it would pull from the table, and it told me my value of A, which makes sense because the initial amount is 30,000 and T is 0.25. All right, here's where it gets sneaky tricky. When they ask me for the value of X, in this case, in the equation I set up in Desmos, X is T, because really, with these equations, it's going to be to the t power, which really serves as your x. So this is just an extra variable tacked on to the real x here. I don't know if that makes any sense, but because I got t equals 0.25, in this case, the way it's set up, that's really x, so I'm going to pick 1/4. So just to reiterate, because I feel like I didn't explain that really well, when we have an exponential function, it's raised to the t power. So t usually is in place of x. So we're going to treat t like the x in this problem. So that means the extra x next to the t is going to be the variable. So that's why we're going to choose the 0.25 for the x. All right, this is a classic problem. It showed up on PSAT test 2, and then I took the June SAT in 2024 with a student, and we both saw this show up on that test. There's a chance it could resurface again this fall, so be ready for this. It says, how many liters of a 35% acid solution must be added to 10 liters of a 12% acid solution to obtain a 20% acid solution? Well, how many liters means we don't know it, so we're going to use x. So we have 0.35, that's 35%, times an amount of liters we don't know, plus 0.12, that's 12%, times 10 liters, that's going to equal 20% of, well, our total liters is going to be the x liters plus the 10 liters. This is where students go wrong. They don't realize we need to multiply 20% by x plus 10. They forget the x, or they don't know what to put there. That's how you're going to solve this, and that's how you're going to be successful. So when all is said and done, if you just solve with simple algebra and isolate the x, you end up getting x equals 5.3 repeating. So when you go to fill that in as your answer, because this is not a multiple choice question, you have 5 spots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're going to do 5.333. Take it out as far as you can. If you round it to 5.3, you're going to get it wrong. So anytime you have a repeating decimal, take it all the way out. Now let's pretend it was a 0.666. You could fill in 5.666, or you could round the last digit and put 5.667. They will take it either way, just a heads up. All right, guys, I love this question. It's super simple. Here's all you need to know for the next one. So if I do a sketch, point A is here at 1, 0. They said point B is at 0, 0. And then they said C is at -1, 0. Now, we are halfway around this circle. And just so you know, a full rotation is 2 pi. So if we went all the way around, it would be 2 pi radians. So anytime you do a full rotation, it's 2 pi. So let's say you're going to rotate 12 pi. Since it's an even number, you're going to get back to the starting point over here. But since they want you to be over here at C, we need an odd amount of pi. So a halfway rotation is going to be pi radians. So you can pick an answer that says pi, 3 pi, 5 pi, 7 pi, 9 pi. As long as it's odd, you're going to get halfway back around. So in this case, your answer is going to be C. All right, this next one is testing mean, and it's a weighted means question. So it says 2 data sets A and B have 60 values in total. The average of the 2 data sets is 200. Okay, so if there's 60 values in total and the average is 200, we're going to pretend each one of those is 200. One might be 199 and one might be 201. We don't know all 60 individual values, so we're just going to weight each one as 200. Okay, now it says data set A contains 35 values with an average of 212. So again, we're going to weight each one of the 35 values and pretend it's exactly 212. One might be 210, one might be 214. We don't know. We'll pretend they're all exactly 212. Now, that means data set B has 25 values. We don't know what the average is of them. That's what we're solving for. So when you isolate X and do simple algebra on this, you end up getting 183.2. That will be the average of data set B. All right, last but not least, number 30. So it says lines M and V are perpendicular. Okay, that's a key word on the SAT. When I see the word perpendicular, I know I need to find slope, and I know it's going to be the negative reciprocal, right? So if the slope of one line is 2, a perpendicular line is -1/2. So I already know they're testing me on that. So they said the points 3, P and 8, P plus 3 lie on line M. So I want to find the slope of line M right now. So I'm going to do P plus 3 minus p, right? Because I'm doing y2 minus y1. And I'm going to do 8 minus 3. So what I end up with is the p's cancel on top. I have 3 over 5. That's the slope of m. Since v is perpendicular, the slope of v is going to be negative 5/3. Now it says m and v intersect at 8 comma p plus 3. And they said, which of the following can lie on line v? Well, I want this point plus the other point over here to get me a slope of negative 5/3. Okay? When I do 11 minus 8, I get 5. When I do p minus 2 minus p minus 3, I get negative 3? Hang on, let's put that in. Okay, so let's try C, because I know C is the right answer. So, oh, I switched them. That's why. I have to do y2. So we'll pretend p minus 2 is y2, and this is y1. So I'm going to do p minus 2 minus p plus 3 on top. And then I have x2 minus x1. So I have 11 minus 8. Okay, what do I get? Well, I'm going to have p minus p, that the p's go away, and then I have a negative 2 minus 3. So I've got negative 5/3. The slopes match, and that's why C is the right answer. All right, guys, that is it for the third installment of the 700s Club math problems. I hope you found this video helpful. Comment below. Let me know how many of these 10 questions you got right. If you want to dive deeper into the math, we have an awesome SAT Math self-paced course. It has challenging problems. It has exclusive video lessons not found on YouTube. We cover all of the concepts and content you need to know to get a perfect math score on the SAT. And right now, we are giving our YouTube viewers $50 off at checkout when you use the promo code 50OFF. I will link up here so you can go grab that SAT Math course. And until next time, guys, happy prepping.